Run Pure Sports Thursday night swing for the fences. Thirsty Thursday, as some people call it. Most of those people are in college, but we wish that we were back in college sometimes. Those were fun times, DC. Thirsty Thursdays. Found this nice bar outside of Tempe called the Thirsty Beaver one time, and I enjoyed it so much I had to get a T-shirt. That was a long time ago. I do not have my Thirsty Beaver T-shirt anymore, but what I do have is this beautiful RPS hockey jersey, courtesy of our partner SaberSim. They send us the best fucking gifts, just the best gifts. We thank Andy and the team at Saber, and I've been using Saber more and more and learning how to use it, and the guys have been great. They've answered all my questions because it's a smart optimizer, but it's not really an optimizer. You have Sims there as well, DC. And what I like about it, one of the things that I've come to like about it, first of all, I've always found the Sims interesting, especially when it spits out a team that I'm not considering, just because I kind of go back and take a look at what I've looked at and say, what did I miss? You know, maybe I can work my way back to see why this is a potential winner. But the thing that I like about it, DC, that I've noticed is even when I put in normal projections, if I enter my own projections, not the Saber, not the Run Pure projections, it'll give me different lineups than I would get from a normal optimizer. So the other night, I think it was the first night of the Yankees-Angels series. I'm looking through. I didn't play a lot of lineups. It was a shorter slate. And I've got Oswaldo Peraza in a couple of lineups. And I'm like, I'm going to leave him. And sure enough, sixth inning hits a home run. Like, it's just good like that. So anyway, our partner SaberSim, thank you so much for these hockey jerseys. Think everybody got one, DC. How are you? You were wearing a jersey last night. It might have cooled, might have warmed up a little bit in Denver today. No hockey jersey. Orioles hat on because they're not on the slate. That's the rule from what I understand. Hat not on, different hat when they're on.
I'm doing well. Headed to Las Vegas tonight, so excited for that. Going to support my friend Dustin Jacoby, who's fighting in the UFC on Saturday. So that'll be fun. Good party. And Thursday. I've partaken more than a few Thirsty Thursdays in my day, JT. So it's totally understand that. And you're right about those jerseys. Those things are high quality, and you know the best gift is one you're not expecting, right? So just out of the blue, a package arrives. It's a beautiful jersey from SaberSim with their name on the back. And I don't know, do you have the Flip 6, the speaker that they sent us? I think that was last year, maybe. Yes. Another good gift. Oftentimes listen to that when I'm in the shower. So love SaberSim, love what they do. And I got to start doing more of what you do and leaving those questionable players in. I can't tell you how many times I'm like, no, I don't really like that player. Why is it giving me so much of X player? And I'm like, no, I'll click him out of there. Bam, home run, first at bat. I'm like, Jesus Christ, why did I get rid of this player that Saber seemed to know something about? So trying to do better on trusting the Sims and trusting SaberSim, of course, in particular, and trying to get to the top, of course.
One of the things on my list of things to do one day over the coming next week or so, when I have a little time during the day, is to start a little bit earlier, because if you have the Sim package, you'll notice from this, sometimes you'll run the Sims, and it was a couple of nights ago, I forget the pitcher. It may have been Jameson Taillon, and run the Sims 40% Colorado lineups. And it's because no one's playing Colorado and everyone is playing Jameson Taillon, right? And it takes a little while to understand, all right, what's it telling me and why, and is that the best play, or is this, okay, maybe something that I should, but once you either lower that stack or lower your percentage of Colorado, then it's the next one and the next one. Those are the ones that you're kind of, when it's giving you just, all right, there's some chalk pitchers here. Sure, I can play some Colorado if I'm playing 50 lineups, right? No problem. I'll play a couple of Colorado lineups. But I'm really interested in the third, fourth, fifth ones that are kind of off the board. Last night, it gave a lot of national stacks. Nationals on the Boom Report. Shout out to our guy, Stats. So there's just a ton of uses. It's been fantastic. And again, because Steve is in his 30s, everyone knew it was his birthday this week. He talked about it. He was going to the Cubs game. But when they sent the note, They knew that it was JT's birthday this past Sunday, and they said, here's a birthday gift. It's got the number 25, the day of my birthday. I couldn't be happier, DC. It was just like you said, an unexpected gift, and I'm so excited about it.
It's a beautiful jersey. Happy to have it. Probably will mostly be worn on Run Pure Sports shows by me. I mean, I don't know.
This is getting worn once. First of all, we're just getting into summer, and that's the other thing I love about it. It's something that I can use. It's going to be another thing that I think of as a gift once it becomes cooler here. October. Yes. This is going to get worn on Sunday Fundays. This is going to be something that I'm rolling in to watch my NFL teams do well. And I'm going to be wearing this, and people are going to come up. It's got my name on the back. You can't see it. It's great. I'll put it on Twitter later.
If we ever have a true Run Pure Sports party / get together again,
right?
I have a feeling those jerseys might be a common attire at such an event. Maybe we can get a big group picture with all our names on the back. Could be fantastic.
Well, Big T has gotten rid of his clothes that don't say Run Pure, and I love that. And so this is going to be a staple. And the yellow, by the way. Congrats to not just Big T, Uncle T. Uncle T's been shipping these $44, $88, the 121 consistently.
Seems like once a week for Uncle T, it seems like.
Yeah. Over the past couple of seasons, all sports, he's been smashing. PsyOps Wag, oh gosh, a bunch of DFS nerds in one room. Let me tell you something. You've never been to a Run Pure Sports party because we do have some of those. They're off in the fucking corner. DC, me, Steve, Big T, Uncle T, Boynton, AP is in there. There's some other, of course, JVC in the crew. Glock is one of my favorite people in the world. But no, those parties, exactly, Uncle T, those parties are elite. So there you go.
I got an issue with Uncle T's comment here. Last time we had a Run Pure Sports party, Uncle T did not show up to said party. So, I mean, what are you talking about them being elite, Uncle T? You can't even get to the damn party yourself. It's in your neck of the woods. I had to take issue with that comment right there.
Well, listen, man, I hate to do this. Because DC, you and me are buddies. I got to take Uncle T's side. Wow. He had the high school girls radio. They were in the playoffs. It's kind of a big weekend. Lots of stuff to do. So as he says, he was working on radio. Yeah. But DC, what's going on in Vegas? I mean, we had a nice time in Vegas a couple of months ago. What's going on in Vegas this time? Because it's a 4-game slate, guys, by the way. We will get to the slate, but I got to fill up some airtime here. And, so what's going on in DC?
Yeah, UFC fight. My buddy Justin Jacoby fighting on the main card. Unfortunately, at the Apex, so can't actually go watch the event live, but we'll have a big crew at a sports bar and cheering him on. And I'm hoping he wins this one. I've traveled to 3 of his fights, and he has lost all 3 and then won essentially every other fight that I haven't been at. So, you don't want to make it about yourself, but
right.
It's
right, but it will be about you if he loses here because you won't be invited to any. There'll be.
I was thinking I might be banned after 3 losses in a row, but apparently I get 4 before I get the boot for good.
Yeah, your picture will be at the door. It'll be ugly. Uncle T says it wasn't girls. That's right.
How could you mistake JT? Who was playing?
Listen, I'm talking about him, right? What more does he want? He wants me to get the sport right. I mean, come on. There's a limited expectation here of what I'm going to get right when I start talking about people. But Uncle T, good to know. We will tuck that in the memory base. Go ahead, drop any questions that you have in the chat about the slate, about Saber, our partner, about anything else. Quite frankly, we're happy to answer any other questions. 4 games. We'll get into them now. DC, we were talking about this yesterday. I said it's odd, but I guess this is really the best way to put together a slate by our partner DraftKings, where you can have a $50K up top main contest here, the $15, $50K up top tonight, even though it's only a 4-game slate. The reason why it's a 4-game slate is because they have included the second game of this day-night doubleheader. That is what kicks us off. At 6:45, it is the Braves who lost game 1 in the late going. They are still in Philly. Chris Sale, 8,800, going against Zach Wheeler at 10.5. Really, really a DC sad news for a guy that you have been on, a guy that I have said I have high hopes for. It looks like AJ Smith-Shawver suffers an elbow injury in game 1. And the reason why I bring that up is because he had to leave early, left after, I think, 2 and some innings. Now you've got Chris Sale, the ace on the mound. They're going to want him to go deep in this game. Sanchez didn't go particularly deep in the first game either, started to get hit around in the 5th inning. I think these are the 2 best pitchers on this slate. We'll talk through whether or not they're the 2 best options. There is a 2A and then a 3, I think, that we'll get to as we go through the games. But Chris Sale, 8,800, Zach Wheeler, 10.5. Usually second games of doubleheaders, a little bit quieter offensively. What are your thoughts here on the Phillies and the Braves?
Yeah, I didn't watch the first game, but it seemed like a good game overall. It was closely contested, 5-4 game. But like you said, AJ Smith-Shawver did leave, was it the 3rd inning, I think, in that game? Or it was early on, second or third inning.
Yeah.
Which, of course, means that the Braves burned through, especially in a close game, essentially all of their bullpen arms are close to it. And the Phillies, to a large degree did that too. And probably none of those guys are going to pitch 2 times in one day. So, most of these teams' bullpens or at least the good pitchers are kind of off the table. These are 2 of the best pitchers in baseball. These are the 2 best pitchers, on the Zach Wheeler on the Phillies and Sale on the Braves. These are the 2 aces of the team. And like you said, JT, you have to imagine that the managers are going to lean on these guys pretty heavily for this game. Obviously, they both got weekend series starting up tomorrow. So, listen, Wheeler and Sale are going essentially as deep as they can every time out anyway. I don't think there's like a huge bump you got to give them for duration here, but a little bit of a bump, maybe an extra inning if it's close on the pitch count. Maybe they go out there, with 94 pitches to try to get through the 7th instead of being pulled, something like that, due to the nature of the doubleheader. But I'm with you. I think this is if you're playing 150, maybe you extend it a little bit beyond 3 pitchers, but I think this is mostly a 3-pitcher slate. At least it is for me playing limited lineups. Wheeler and Sale at the very top of the list. If I have to choose between the 2, I will take the discount with Sale. I mean, you almost get a $2K discount between the 2 pitchers, who I do think are projected similarly here for me. But I think, a great way to start is just plug both these guys in and, hope for your pitchers to get off to the races on the first game of the night and find the bats elsewhere. So I do think that's a really good approach to the slate. Sale at 8,800, it's, for me, really hard to fade him. The most dangerous hitter in the Phillies lineup, Schwarber's got to swing left versus left. No Bryce Harper in the lineup. Second game of a doubleheader, like you mentioned, these hitters are – it's a long day of baseball to play 2 full games, especially 2 close games against a division rival. So you got to think advantage. Pitchers here, 4-game slate. I wouldn't get too complicated here. I'd plug both these guys in, at least one of them in, and go from there. I will say on a short, on a big slate, a normal 10-game slate, whatever, I think you could mostly avoid bats entirely from these 2 pitchers. But on a 4-game slate, you do need to at least consider kind of everybody, because there's just limited options. So if you're playing hitters in this game, I'm chasing home runs is what I'm doing for both these guys. So it'd be kind of the power bats on both sides. And I don't mind mixing those guys in, maybe playing 1 hitter against your pitcher if you do want to go in that direction. Certainly don't have to, but that would be the way I approach it. And, nothing, not going to reinvent the wheel here with these 2 guys. Wheeler, Sale, get him in your lineup. You'll probably be ending up glad that you did. So I'm on both these pitchers. I imagine you are too, JT.
Yeah, and for that reason, right, it looks like Wheeler is probably going to come in a little bit lower owned because people are going to take the discount. Sure. And I don't, I was looking at his advanced numbers. I was looking at what he's done over the last month. A little bit, there's a little bit, and it's different when you talk about a pitcher with a 31% strikeout rate, right? The average on batted balls in play is going to be lower because there's fewer of them. It just generally works out that way. He leaves a lot of guys on base because of that strikeout rate. This lineup here, you've got Verdugo back in there. Harris at least showed a little life. But there's so many strikeouts in the Braves lineup that it's hard for me to not go over the field on both of these pitchers. Of course, we've seen how the Phillies will struggle against elite left-handed pitchers and then sometimes not so elite left-handed pitchers. A couple of just last weekend in Sacramento, against Jacob Lopez, and Jeffrey Springs did okay. And as we talked about, I think you see easily 100 pitches from both these pitchers today, unless something goes terribly wrong. So easily 2 of the top 3 options. And I personally have them ranked 1 and 2 here on the slate. On paper, you can always get different in multi-entry. We'll talk about that. I don't see for me anything more than maybe a couple of mini stacks here of these 2 teams. As far as Derek Ringering's question, Atlanta's bullpen, it's hit and miss. They did use Scott Blewett in the first game. I think they may have also used Dylan Lee. I didn't see the last couple of innings, but we'll have to take a look there at who came in. You could get some of the weaker back-end pitchers, but DC, if both these guys go 7 innings, you're playing then for just a couple of innings on each side. Doesn't seem to be the best play on this slate. I think there's some clear hitting spots.
Yeah, totally agree with you. I think you don't want to go too crazy with these hitters, even if you're not on the pitchers for whatever reason. 1 or 2 bats might be good enough. Like you said, the mini stacks I think are okay. One-offs probably even better. And then of course we're both high on the pitchers. No surprise there.
All right, we'll move on to the next game. It is the Oakland A's traveling up to Toronto from Houston. Jacob Lopez, who had just a stellar, surprising performance against the Philadelphia Phillies last weekend. He's 7,400 DC against Jose Barrios, 7,600. I don't expect Jacob Lopez to repeat that performance. The Toronto Blue Jays, as the most popular team on the slate, doesn't seem to often go well. They really struggled with the bats in Texas this week and in Tampa Bay over the weekend. 2 runs in 3 games in Tampa, not much more than that in Texas. Looks like a team that's struggling. Perhaps the A's could be the solution to their problems, but I'm still interested in going a little bit lower on the Jays. And then Barrios, I don't know. Barrios is a guy that I think, I mean, as of right now, I have him listed as my 4th pitcher option, just because we've come to see that this A's team is striking out a lot more than they did in the early going. The power is there, but it's 7,600 at a home game against the A's with guys like Drew Evans and Logan Davidson and Luis Arias in the lineup. I kind of think he maybe makes the pool because of that. But could we be interested in the A's power? What are your thoughts here on the A's and the Jays?
Yeah, so the Blue Jays, like you mentioned, just as the chalk stack, which on a 4-game slate with 2 aces going, obviously someone's got to be the most popular. So I do understand why they're going to be popular against a rookie pitcher who, coming off that huge game. I mean, that might be one of the better games that he has in his career. Jacob Lopez, that game against the Phillies, not expecting anything like that. It's a low strikeout matchup for him. For me, even coming off the big game, or perhaps. In a day, like it's like a negative, right? For right. Lopez almost coming off that huge game.
Absolutely.
I can't play him. I'm with you. Barrios does come in at 4th for me on the starting pitcher rankings today, but it is a distant 4th, I think, for Jose Barrios. I assume Mackenzie Gore is the other one you're looking at. Yeah, he's 3rd for me. We might have the exact same rankings for our top 4 pitchers. So yeah, Barrios, if you're playing a lot of lineups, I guess you can include him. I don't think you need to. I would be perfectly fine rolling with the 3, but I do have Barrios 4th for people, trying to widen out their pitching pool a little bit. But certainly does not mean you can't play these A's bats against him. Barrios, plenty of blow-ups throughout his career, of course. The lefty power, Lawrence Butler, Tyler Soderstrom looks good. The back half of this A's lineup, like you mentioned, is pretty ugly, but they are cheap at least. So you can include guys like Drew Evans, Logan Davidson if you want to, but it is that top of the lineup, that first 5 really for the A's that look like a strong stack here against Jose Barrios and the Blue Jays. And then the Blue Jays lineup, like I said, I mean, they're just not, listen, 5 or 6 runs might be enough on this slate to be the top stack on the slate. We just don't know how it's all going to shake out. So maybe they get there, but they're just not a high upside stack in general. They don't hit a lot of home runs. They don't steal bases. And so it's, kind of hard for them to put up huge scores maybe they don't need to tonight, but I am a little hesitant to play the Super Chalk Blue Jays on a 4-game slate. So I get it why people are playing them. I certainly will have exposure to the Blue Jays, particularly I think Vlad looks good to me. Springer, another play that I like quite a bit. But I'm not going all in on the Blue Jays or anything like that. I think it's a slate to mix, to take the big stand on pitching, right? Get as much Wheeler, Sale, Gore in there as you can. And then I think where you want to where you want to branch out a little bit is at the hitting spots, obviously, on your stacks, hitters, all that stuff. So Blue Jays are fine, but yeah, playing into that chalk, I'm not sure is the best decision on this slate. And I'll certainly be playing my fair share of A's bats against Barrios, even though I do think Barrios himself is a reasonable player.
Yeah, and when I say Barrios fourth, I mean 15, 20%. I haven't looked at the most recent ownership ratings. If he's higher than that, we'll see. But I think 15, 20%, and then you have some of those A's mixed in. Steve Kreitzen, thoughts on Soderstrom? He can hit a home run. He's got a ton of power, right? He's a guy you're playing to try and take advantage of that night when he hits one and a double or something like that. Fine with him here. Not a guy that I don't think is going to be in my core as of right now. What's the deal with Drew Avens? Know nothing about him. There are some people, DC, in our community who get very excited when they see a rookie 2K player come up. I'm not one of those guys, so he's not going to be really doing a lot for me. Probably is a pinch hit risk, as is Logan Davidson. Maybe not Logan Davidson as much with Kurtz on the IL. And then our guy JP84, as usual, DC, just doing stellar graphic work. He mocked up a little something of you, me, and Chucky. You, me, and Chucky in the Discord. So we thank JP. That is phenomenal work as usual. We will move on to the next game. This one in Houston. It is Tampa Bay heading out of their tiny park into a real regular, maybe even larger than normal size Major League Baseball venue here in Houston. Shane Baz, 7,800 against Ryan Gusto, 6,400. DC, Shane Baz, by the numbers, has been one of the worst pitchers in baseball. I'm not sure what the issue is, whether it's, and it hasn't just been at home. There's been some terrible road starts as well. Price has come down to where I would consider using a Tampa Bay pitcher. The reason why I say that is these guys don't have any length or leash dependency, which they're just not trustable. And then Ryan Gusto at 6,400, not doing a whole lot for me. Yeah. Kind of more on bats in this game. What are your thoughts here on Baz and Gusto?
Yeah, I'm off both these pitchers. If I had to choose one, I think it would be Shane Baz. I think he's got the higher upside, right? We have seen it's crazy, JT. When you look at like the overall numbers for Shane Baz on the season, they're really ugly, like you mentioned, and that's with the huge start. I mean, he started off the season coming out gangbusters, 2 33-plus fantasy point outings in 2 of the first 3, and a good one in between there, 7 strong innings against the Angels. Since then, though, I mean, he's been in the negative points on DraftKings, and I think 4 of 7 starts. And also, he had a big start against the Padres in there, too, with 6 strikeouts. So it's really hard to know what to make of him, but clearly capable of not having it, of getting blown up, which, we obviously want to attack that, especially on a shorter slate. So I think the Astros, not a team I love in general, but I think they make quite a bit of sense on this particular slate. Can kind of say the same thing about the Rays, although it's a frustrating team. Don't seem to get the job done in what seems like just ideal hitting conditions night after night in Tampa. Now they have a harder spot to hit in Houston, and probably will come through when it seems like they shouldn't, after failing to come through when it seems like they should. Sometimes baseball goes that way, but I do certainly like the Astros side and the Rays side. These are 2, I think, of the better offenses on the slate. Sounds like you're on board there. And yeah, the pitching, again, if you're playing limited lineups, I don't really see the need to play either of these guys. Boz is the preferred option if you really do want to branch out of pitching, but it's not for me today. And then, the Rays, in particular, Gusto has struggled against lefties. Pretty severe split so far. It's a small sample size, just 35 innings this year, but almost a 300 isolated power allowed to lefties, an xWOBA near 400. It's been rough sledding for Gusto against left-handed bats. The Rays have some good ones. Josh Lowe, Brandon Lowe, Aranda, the three guys that I'm looking at most closely on the Astros side, and then on the Rays side rather, and then on the Astros side, I really think you can play almost anybody in this lineup. Even the back half looks okay to me. Not a lot of pinch hit risk in this lineup in general, and most of those bats in the back half are pretty cheap as well. So I do like both these offenses. Slightly lean, even though I like Boz better as a pitcher, I still like the Astros better as a stack just because Boz is all over the place. So I do think there's some volatility there where you can kind of play both sides of it a little bit.
The bullpen has been leaky as well for Tampa Bay. And you mentioned Tampa. They haven't gotten there much, although I think it was one of the slates in the last week that did score 9-10 runs, were the winning stack because of their pricing. They hit over the weekend against Minnesota. They hit Joe Ryan pretty well. They hit Pablo Lopez pretty well. So it's a team that's been hitting. They're just, again, there's pinch hit risk really up and down this lineup. So you need them to get to that 6-7 run mark by the 5th or 6th inning before that comes into play. Looks like they have their new shiny toy, Matt Tice, who is in the lineup today. He'll be hitting 9th against Ryan Gusto for 2,900. So interesting game there. We got Jake Swale saying Boz is about to break the slate. On a slate where we have 3 of the top 20 pitchers in baseball, 25 pitchers in baseball, again, if he makes some lineups, he makes some lineups the way that I'm running things, but I'm certainly not stressing. The Astros been hitting the ball well as well. So we'll move on to this last game of the night. Again, 4-game slate. This is last night's winners. The Nationals still in Seattle. Mackenzie Gore, who we've chatted about a little bit here throughout the show, 9,300 for Mackenzie Gore. He's been fantastic so far this season. And then Emerson Hancock at 6K flat. Hancock, a good game or two this season, but overall a fairly mediocre pitcher. Big T is interested on DC's take on him. Mackenzie Gore, Emerson Hancock, the Nats, and the Mariners, DC. What are your thoughts here? Can the Nats somehow have back-to-back big offensive games?
Certainly possible against Emerson Hancock, who I'm not playing tonight, Big T. Listen, if you were on the show with us, I would, come up with some half-baked argument for Emerson Hancock just to get the reaction and, get yelled at a little bit. Very much enjoy that. But since it's just me and you, JT, I can't endorse the Emerson Hancock play. Not on a slate with Mackenzie Gore, Zach Wheeler, and Chris Sale. I can't.
So let me just guess that last night you were a fan of George Kirby.
No.
Oh, all right.
No, it was not on George Kirby at all.
Why is Big T dropping the hate on you?
Well, that's just Big T. He doesn't like my pitcher takes. He gets mad at me when I try to play a cheap pitcher, even though they seem to be coming through most of the time. But anyway.
I think Big Giblets should put on his fucking hockey jersey and get on with us and give us his take. He said 2 big nights in a row. Big T's on a heater. I don't need this cowardice of him simply coming into chat and trolling. I mean, we don't need that, DC.
Yeah, well, we don't. But
people want Big Giblets.
He's too busy counting stacks of cash to join us on the show. So I understand. He's got to make a run to the bank and make a big deposit. It's Big T's living the high.
Those forms, those currency reporting forms. I mean, I get it.
I mean, who knows the trouble he and Uncle T are getting into in Kentucky with their newfound, stacks of cash. Probably doing some damage, but
you get into a lot of trouble in the hills of Kentucky.
You can, absolutely. There he is. Big T has joined us.
There he is. Big Giblets.
Big Giblets is here.
I always just want the invite. I can't wait to hop on with you two. It's my favorite day of the week, Mondays. I need to
All you
fix
gotta do
this
is ask
graphic,
me.
though. I can't have this graphic cutting me off.
Fix it. Fix
Let me
it.
see. How do I fix this? There we go.
There
Now
you
we're
go.
back, baby.
Yeah.
We're back. I'm ready now with the boys. I would get my jersey, but it would take, by the time I get it, the show will be over. I got to go up and get it. Yeah. No, I was making fun of DC because you got 3 just monsters on the mound. I thought for sure he has to like one of these cheapies. You don't like any of the cheapies?
None. No.
We're gonna win it. We're gonna either win it all tonight or lose it all. Then
I think we agreed basically. If we were going to play anyone outside of the 3 pitchers that you're talking about, Big T, we may play some Barrios. We may play a share or 2 of Shane Baz. That's it. Right?
Yeah, I like that. I can't even disagree. I'm like DC. I just like the arguments when we're on the show. It makes it funner.
Speaking of that, Big Giblets, Anthony is on here. He says DC was right on Patrick the other day. He was, but he wasn't the best point per dollar pitcher on the slate. Yeah. I sent you guys a picture. Of him. DC didn't even respond. He was so disgusted.
I saw Jay. And the crazy part, if you told me what's my dude's name? Pascantino. What was my dude's name?
Yours?
Yeah, what was the Rockies pitcher?
Palmquist.
If you told me he was going to get 12 and I would get smashed by both of you, I would have been like, there's no way I get 12 and I got crushed by both of you. You had like 19 and 23 or something, whatever.
5,500 Charlie Morton shut down the Cardinals and got the win.
Let's hope the scrub pitchers don't do as well tonight, though.
Yes,
all 3 of us are going to struggle.
Let us pray.
No, this is as clear cut of a stud.
Oh, baby, Big T with the easy slate prediction.
They're all easy right now. Why is it like this? You guys have both played DFS forever. Like you've hit the hot streaks, the cold streaks, just like me. Yes. Why? We have the same process. Like, why is it like this? When you're just hot, you just win everything. And when you're cold, you just can't win no matter what. Like, I don't understand it. You're doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
Is it just you get that, like, you just fire it and don't – like yesterday in the basketball, if I wasn't hot, I probably wouldn't have taken as an aggressive of a stand, like with blowout and stuff. But when you're winning, you're like, screw it. I'll throw it in there how I like it.
Yep.
I think that has a big part of it, playing with confidence, right? Having some conviction behind your plays. It's not as bad anymore because projections are everywhere and obviously so easy to find. But like we've been playing long enough, Big T especially, where like back in the day, like 8-10 years ago, when projections weren't really a thing.
Oh, yeah.
When you went on a cold streak, then it was really soul crushing because I started to like second guess myself, all my plays. Now it's like, okay, I mean the projections are so in general so good that it's easier to kind of not second guess your process. But I'm with you. I think when you get on a heater, you just kind of ride it and trust the confidence.
I was listening to the beginning of the show too, and JT's rant about SaberSim was just so true. Like, I can't say how much it's helped me. Like, it's helped me so much. When you get just the random dudes that pop in there, and you're like, man, do I really want? I always just leave them in. I do maneuver it a little, and I thought JT's point was good. Like when you get 40% Rockies versus someone, I force my numbers is one thing I do.
Yep.
But like I'll notice it first. So if it's 40% Rockies, I might move it to 5% or something.
Right.
But you still get those combos that you just wouldn't get by yourself. You would never the 35K I would have never won that without SaberSim. That's just a fact. I would not have hand built that team. There's no way I would have. Like I just wouldn't have. So I thought your rant about, well, not a rant, whatever the word is,
it was praise. It was praise because it's true. Because again, when it's doing, if I put the same projections into Saber and another optimizer, and I get something different in Saber, but at the end of the night, 80% of the time more efficient, then that's a better system. And I think that's what it is.
Way better. And I thought everything you said was great because it's what I like. Even if you like, say I love Chris Sale and I bump these pitchers way up, you'll still get some of like Barrios and Baz and these guys, which you want a little bit. You want a little sliver of some of these other guys. And if you don't like someone in the NBA, I used to just full fade. Now if you get 5% Rudy Gobert, maybe that's the 5% that wins it for you. Like it just makes a huge difference.
And I think with pitchers, this is what I've been doing, right? Pitchers, I'm a little bit more or less lenient in terms of, no, I'm not going to play like Kyle Freeland the other day. I'm like, no, we're not going to play any Kyle Freeland.
Right? Kyle Freeland when we're out here. That's me and DC's one of our original arguments. It's funny that I'm on the shitty pitcher in that argument.
But listen, this was Kyle Freeland against the Cubs. We just weren't going to do it. I think you can understand that. And just like tonight, like Gusto and Hancock, I get it. They're cheap, but the chances they put up a score that competes with one of the top pitchers on the slate is not high enough, in my opinion, for me to play them in the pool and take the risk of losing that way.
Yeah, totally agree.
All right. Give us your thoughts, DC, on the Nats and the Mariners, and then we'll get Big T's thoughts on the slate. And anyone, we'll get to Binking's question. Anyone else with questions, go ahead and drop them in.
Yeah, so like I said, I do like Gore. I do have him third behind Wheeler and Sale, but not that far behind. Certainly would want to mix him in if you're playing, even 3 lineups. I would want at least one share of Gore in there. And then, no Hancock for me. I mean, it does Big T's, the Nationals have been good to him, so I'm sure we'll get his opinion on the Nationals, but they do look like one of the better stacks here. Obviously got to deal with T-Mobile Park. It's a tough park to hit in, but obviously if they've proved that they can get the job done, and you worry less about parks on a 4-game slate, right? Because maybe the Nationals aren't likely to put up double-digit runs. They probably won't need to. There probably won't be any team that does that tonight. So, Nationals look good here. Obviously, Abrams and Wood atop the lineup. Hancock's been pretty bad over the fairly small sample size we have over the last couple of years. But I do think he is probably the worst pitcher on the slate overall. I like the Nationals quite a bit. Well, they have 9 lefties against Hancock. So I think they're going to do some damage. I think you could make an argument for them as top stack of the night, even over the Blue Jays. I don't mind that pivot at all. So I'm in on the Nationals, in on Gore. Bats against Gore, if you're not on him, I don't mind taking a shot on some of the Mariners' power. Julio, Raleigh, Rosarena, Dylan Moore, crushes lefties. Those guys all look okay to me too on teams that you're not playing Mackenzie Gore. So Nationals the big one along with Gore, but whichever pitcher I don't have on any individual lineup between Wheeler, Sale, and Gore, I do like to try to pick out kind of the most likely home run that fits my lineup against the pitcher I don't have in my lineup. So for me, like I said, against Gore, that would be Julio, Raleigh, Rosarena, Moore. That 2 through 5, I think you could go any direction there depending on what fits your individual lineup build.
You mentioned T-Mobile, but T-Mobile cannot hold Josh Bell. Cannot hold Josh Bell at this age of his career. I mean, come on, Big T. I agree with that. If I'm playing the Mariners, it's probably going to be a full stack and hoping that it's an off night for Mackenzie Gore and they get into that Nationals bullpen early. I think that's the way that the Mariners would potentially win the slate. Big T, what are your thoughts here? Nats, Mariners, slate as a whole. We've kind of covered the pitching angle. You're in alignment with us on really focusing on Sale, Wheeler, and Gore, and then any of the other guys, it's just going to be a handful. But what are your overall thoughts here?
Yeah, Washington, those slates yesterday are the funniest because, like, I had Washington on my main team and almost won, but it was no scoring. Like, those slates are crazy where I think I had, like, everybody that wasn't Washington had, like, 0, and it was a weird slate to almost win on. There was no runs. And honestly, on a 4-game slate like tonight where you could see something similar where you could see only one team scoring runs again tonight because a couple of the spots aren't great. Even the spots you like, at least for me, aren't like I'm not overly enthused to just shove Toronto in there. So this is another good SaberSim night. Maybe it kind of pushes one of these teams that we don't know about it. But this game, I hate Seattle against lefties. So Mackenzie Gore is actually my number 1 tonight. I love him tonight. I'm a big Seattle fan, but a lot of their guys I like way better against right-handers. So I'm huge on McKenzie. And do we have a Washington lineup? I don't see it yet.
No, not yet.
All lefties. Even if they throw a curveball in and one name's different or something, you got almost all lefties. Have to like Washington. So I just love these slates like this though, because you got 4 games. I don't really even consider bats in the Atlanta game because both pitchers are top tier. Like I said, I don't like Seattle against Gore. So you got 3 pitchers and 3 teams I don't really want bats from. So that only leaves a few teams that you can really get in there, which narrows it down. And I always like the smaller slates. So, I mean, for me, it's just really the obvious stuff. Houston's been a lot better lately, so I'm going to like them. Tampa Bay, just by default, I'm going to have interest in them. Going to see what Sabres Sam. I'll probably be lower on Toronto. I still don't love the Toronto lineup, even though they got a good matchup. They just haven't been that good. So I'll have some Toronto, but I definitely don't. What are they saying? The reverse split score? Is that right? Reverse split?
Yeah. I mean, look, he's a left-handed pitcher. There's only so many left-handed hitters in the league, so a lot of his numbers are going to come against right-handed batters.
Yeah, gotcha. I mean, I think it's going to be a good slate, though. So I didn't hear who offenses you guys were on, but I'm mainly on the Houston game, and I like Washington, but I don't love Washington. I do like them, but I'm not like over Washington and Toronto. I'll definitely have some, but I like the Houston game more.
Houston game was a spot where we did not like the arms, so definitely like the
by default, you got to like it, right? I mean, the arms are clearly the worst for me as far as a whole in that game, and Houston's been pretty hot too. So I don't know; they kind of check a lot of boxes.
I will say the other thing that I'm on a 4-gamer is maybe, I don't know, 10, 15% of my lineups are going to be 3-3-2s. In the event you get 3-4 runs from like all these games, that has a real shot at winning. So maybe 15% of my lineup is going to be 3-3-2s, just trying to pick off the power and the best hitters and maybe the best cheap hitters there. Let's do some top pitchers. DC Big T says Gore is his number 1. I am going to go with Chris Sale simply because I like Wheeler a lot. I may have Wheeler more, but I think Sale is in the best position to go to 110 pitches just because of the way the Braves rotation, their pitching sets up after that game 1, losing Smith-Shawver early in the game. So I'm going to call Sale my number 1 here. Your number 1 pitcher.
I haven't built my lineups yet, so don't hold me to it that I'll have the most Wheeler because he is significantly more expensive than the other 2, but that's the plan. But I think it's really, really close between Wheeler, Sale, and McKenzie Gore. And I do think those 3 are head and shoulders above the rest of the pitching field. So we'll see where I end up, but my lineups are all going to be those 3 guys. And I bet it'll end up pretty close to, whatever it is, 66% of each pitcher on my DraftKings line. I've got to play 2 of them, of course. So I'll say Wheeler. Big T said Gore. He said Sale. I think it's close between the 3. I do have the most trust in Wheeler in general. I think he's maybe the safest guy, but I think all 3 of these guys have, 10 plus strikeout upside. So elite upside from all 3 guys.
I think they're all going to just shove too. So I can almost say I'll just, whoever fits in that particular team.
Yep.
I'll go ahead. And I want pretty even. Like, I don't know how many teams I'm going to play, but I want it pretty even between all my teams.
Yeah. Matt Dulkin is in here. He says, Big T says it narrows down, but made money stacking versus one of the best pitchers.
I don't think Kirby was, though. He's coming back from injury and stuff. I agree. Overall, he was. But and another thing, some of the positions that Washington last night had better guys in were weaker positions like second base. And it just fit. It just fit the build and the pricing. So I don't think Kirby was. But I agree with the point. You will not see me stack against a top pitcher very much. So that's just not how I like to do things.
If you're playing multiple lineups on this slate, it makes sense to have like 1 or 2% Atlanta, Philly.
You're the master of that, though. You're better at that than I am. But
you can go overboard too, right? Because like last night, I mean, I had game stacks of Cincinnati and Kansas City that cashed easily because I had the pitchers right. Because the only team that scored was one of the lowest owned teams on the night. So if it's Atlanta, if it's Philly, if it's Seattle, you don't need a whole lot of them to get near the top because they're going to be so low owned. So you don't need to make a big deal and take a big stand in your pool in terms of playing those offenses. I certainly won't be tonight. DC, who is the most important offense to your success tonight?
We'll go with the Astros against Shane Baz, who just, half his starts are just complete blowups from Shane Baz. Metrics look bad. And this Astros team, it does seem like they're starting to hit a little bit better. They're cheap, so you can fit the full stack with the three expensive pitchers that we like. To me, they make a lot of sense. So I'll say the Astros will be my highest owned, most important stack tonight.
All right. I will say for me, I just the way the numbers work on the pitchers on this slate, I think Gusto has been fairly lucky to not have had worse results. And I do like the way Tampa Bay is hitting the baseball. So, yes, it's a park downgrade, but I like the way they're hitting. I like their opposition here. So I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. Christopher Langello asked, does it make sense to play any batters against your pitchers? Look, on this
definitely in play in short slates.
Yeah,
not a full stack, but a batter or two.
No, I would limit it to. I guess you could limit it to two. Again, the scenarios we're talking about where pitchers go 6-7 innings, something like that, and then the bullpen blows up, especially in that Philly and Atlanta game, because you're going to get the second tier of those bullpens. So if there's a game where you are more likely to see scoring late than early, I would say it's Atlanta-Philly. Once they
get good plays, like you got a catcher in the 2-hole versus Wheeler. I mean, Drake Baldwin,
he's good.
He can easily do stuff like that for sure.
So
I don't know what this dude's talking. This Matt, this is my boy from the NBA show. What are you trying to say about? I don't understand.
He's saying that you stacked against Kirby.
I didn't have Kirby in anything though.
Right.
I don't understand.
So, and I think that's the point. If you looked at Kirby, he's talking about his start before. If you looked at Kirby's numbers over that, unfortunately, it was only one start. He was still a little bit rusty, right? And so I could see it. Kirby was not a guy I played last night.
I'm the game log guy. You guys make fun of me for the game logs. If I don't see a little sample built up, I'm not gonna. I didn't trust Kirby. See, I got a good laugh out of you guys. I'm the game log guy.
I didn't like Kirby. I didn't like Kirby either.
I wasn't on Kirby last night. I'm not sure what the argument is. All right, Big T. Who is the most important offense, or who will be, do you believe, the most important offense to your success tonight?
I mean, I'm super close in Houston, Tampa. I don't know who it'll be. Just for the sake of you saying Tampa, I'll just say Houston. Houston came through for me the other day. I actually think it is Tampa, though. Just looking at the lineup, I think I'm with you on Tampa. I like Tampa a decent amount versus Gusto here. Would
you call Matt Tice a team platoon guy?
I don't know about that.
All right.
He's down in the 9-hole. I was like, where is he?
Yeah.
Isn't it the dude? Who did he used to play for? The Angels?
Angels, and they traded him to the White Sox. And
he's
the White
terrible.
Sox.
He sucks.
He's a lefty hitter. I don't know. He's a lefty catcher. Reese McGuire hit 2 home runs Sunday. Big T. Anything can happen.
That was the best too, because on the Monday I called him out and you said he hit 2 bombs the day before.
He wasn't
another one too, didn't he? One day I got him on my Sabre on one of the teams, and he did pretty good. I don't know if it was a bomb. He did good though, I think.
Okay, I'm not sure. All right, cores will be up. The playbook is probably up and done. The boom report will be up. Guys will be in Discord.
What did DC say about his Timberwolves? Did you get his take about his T-Wolves?
We were being.
You were being gentle. Gentle on Thursdays. It's only aggressive on Mondays.
I didn't even make it to the second quarter. I was.
That OKC team's a buzzsaw, man.
Boynton sent a message last night, something baseball related, and DC was crickets. He was. That was it. He was.
I wasn't responding to any texts from anybody last night. I was
no, which is understandable. It's understandable. It's hurtful. It's hurtful when the team does that. Why was he playing Mike Conley? Do we know why that was happening?
Yeah.
You could tell Jaden McDaniels missed like the 2 open threes, and he like
It was
hung
more
his
than
head.
2. It was a lot of them out of the gate.
And then it was just over.
He
Right away.
started 0 for 7, I think.
It was painful, very painful.
And they were wide open 0 for 7.
Maybe they can get Big Rudy Gobert off the team and come back
I
stronger.
would like them more if they get Big Rudy gone.
Yes.
Big T slicing and dicing on this Thirsty Thursday edition.
I had to get him back. His team whooped my team last year and sent me packing and got to enjoy it.
All right. Core plays. Guys are in Discord answering questions, late swaps for Big T and for DC. Good luck in your contests tonight.